Okay, today we will be playing a game on Hollywood. We are in the Diamond SR range, and we will be playing McCree on attack and Zenyatta on defense. And I forgot to write down our team comp, but conveniently enough, everyone's on screen. Our team is Reinhardt, D.Va, McCree, Sombra, Mercy, and Lucio. Whew, saved from looking unprofessional very narrowly. So, the thing that is remarkable about today's team comp is that one of our DPS is Sombra. And Sombra is not a super consistent DPS. She's closer to a support than she is a DPS, honestly. So that means that the only people on our team who actually do damage, really, are McCree and kinda D.Va. I guess you can say McCree, kinda Sombra, kinda D.Va. So overall, though, our team is very low damage. We don't even have, like, a Zenyatta as one of the supports. We have Lucio, so very low damage team comp, and I would expect that to be an issue. And as you might be able to tell from the timeline, this video is only 9 minutes long, so this game can't be super long. It's a bit of an issue that we have. So let's start the game. So their team comp, we're going to learn very quickly, is very aggravating to play against, because they have... Reinhardt should not do this, like, he's giving that Symmetra a lot more charge. Not a lot, but he's giving her more charge. Their team comp is Symmetra, Torbjorn, Junkrat. So their team is very aggravating to play against, and our team is not great at dealing with these people. McCree is like, he can kill Symmetra, but he can't really, like, deal with Symmetra, you know, because those are, like, two different things. Junkrat, hopefully D.Va deals with it, but then there's also Torbjorn as well, who McCree is not great at dealing with. And they have a Reinhardt as well, who is just going to generally be in the way. I think they also have an Orisa. Like, I think they might be super all-in. No, they have a Zarya. So our D.Va also just immediately went in and, like, got her mech destroyed, which is not extremely helpful and makes it even harder for us to actually, like, do anything. Since, as we've established, we've only really got one DPS and then two kinda DPS. D.Va is no longer even kinda a DPS when she's out of her mech. So we are positioning awkwardly during this exchange that we have here, because we aren't really behind Reinhardt's barrier. We're just kind of off here to the side, like there's this giant area that they can shoot down at us through. So that's not great. Also, if Reinhardt decides that he's going to back up suddenly, well, we're like out in the middle of the street, so we have to go through a process to get out back into cover. Whereas we could just be standing like here, and we would be super behind Reinhardt's shield. And even if Reinhardt gets out of the way, cover's like right there. So it's a little, it's a bit of an awkward place to stand, just because we're not super well protected anyway. And if Reinhardt decides to whisk away like so, we have to go through a process to get back in cover. Not much damage was actually coming through at the time, so it wasn't like a huge thing, but it can be a huge thing. So D.Va also died, but she got rezzed, which is in a way a small blessing, because that meant she got to get back in her mech faster. So here goes Reinhardt, he's going to charge in. He did actually manage to pim their Reinhardt, which has led to him dying, which is great. So we have our flashbang. We unfortunately miss it on the Symmetra, which is unfortunate. And we roll away from the Junkrat, which is fair enough, but we also could have tried to flashbang the Symmetra right there and try to kill her, because Symmetra is kind of a scary person. But then when we do try and flashbang her, we just miss, which is unfortunate and will happen. So here's where you'll notice that the low damage team comp is going to be coming into play, because we're actually, like, we've killed people and we're doing damage. We're up to 100% ult charge already, despite not really having been fighting that long. But, and even though the fight started pretty well, right, like, we killed their Reinhardt really quickly, and then we killed their Junkrat as well. So the fight started off great, and yeah, Reinhardt got rezzed. But now we're having trouble actually finishing the fight, even though the fight started off really well, because our team just kinda doesn't have the damage to really, like, seal the deal, especially on a team comp like theirs, which is generally very annoying to deal with. So we, ult the Mercy, which is a standard procedure as McCree, especially seeing as she was performing an illegal maneuver and just trying to shoot us in Valkyrie in the middle of the open sky. And then miraculously we survived the tire incident. Sombra used her EMP, but it wasn't super helpful. So here's the thing right here. We hesitate to continue firing at this Reinhardt because the bubble is on him. This dude's got his ultimate, and he's got one hit on him. Just break this bubble, because you don't want that to happen. Because, like, Reinhardt's down on the ground like that, he is slamming on that button. Like, give me the Earth Shatter. Just break the bubble, don't even let him try to get it off. Just, like, don't let it happen. So, now we're gonna really have trouble. My left monitor has just completely turned off. It's not actually turned off. Okay, because the light was still on. It's back now. That was spooky. Okay, so, and that was the monitor I was actually looking at, so it was really inconvenient. So, now we're gonna really have trouble, like, winning a team fight, because, first off, the Earth Shatter did, like, really fuck up our tempo. But we're already having trouble killing them, and now Symmetra, rather, has gotten to build her teleporter. So, it's gonna be real hard for us to actually, like, get through this. We also, just generally, don't really have a great team for dealing with them. I would change to Pharah at this point, because Pharah counters the entirety of their team. Really good against, like, all of them. Symmetra can't do anything, Junkrat can't do anything, Torbjorn has to be an absolute god if he's gonna kill you. So, Pharah would be really good against their team comp. And right now, we don't have very much on our team that's really good against their team comp. And no switching occurs. Like, our team comp is, like, not great in general. It can work. Not to say it can't work. But, it's gonna be hard to make it work. So we've almost got Deadeye again, which is cool, but not the greatest ultimate in the world. It's just sort of like, well, if Mercy does that again, I can kill her. Sombra has actually changed to Widowmaker. I lied to you. This is actually a significant improvement over Sombra versus that team comp. However, we all know how Widowmaker players are. So, this is also not a great map to play Widowmaker on. Well, for the first checkpoint anyway. Rather awkward. Especially versus a Reinhardt. And most of Reinhardt's team is going to be standing behind him. So it's not great. So we are again standing rather out in the open over here, but at the same time, because we know their team is largely, well, it's entirely projectile, isn't it? This isn't like the hugest thing in the world, but like this is not a great place to stand if their team has like a hit scan hero on it, because Reinhardt's not here shielding us, and it's not even great against, like, a projectile team, but, like, we're standing pretty out in the open. Again, if we're gonna get to cover, we kind of have to, like, walk ourselves over there, and Reinhardt's not standing in front of us right now, so this could be, sad, quite easily, if their team was a little different, or their Junkrat was a little better at actually aiming. So, we are trying to push in again. We've got Deadeye. This is the kind of situation where you might consider just backing up and using Deadeye right now, because we are getting some momentum going in already, so if you just, like, because we've got some momentum going right now, if you just Deadeye in this kind of position, check behind you first, make sure no one's in the doorway, but if you just, like, Deadeye in this kind of position, you force the enemy to stand in really unfortunate positions, and seeing as we've already got the tempo advantage coming into the fight, that can really fuck with them, and then that zoning might help win in this kind of situation, especially seeing as we're largely uncontested right now. Though maybe you also say, well, their Mercy's probably getting close to Valkyrie, so I'll just save Deadeye to kill that if I have to. Oh god, here comes the tire from Orbit. And we didn't break that one, which is sad, but not exactly unexpected. So, once again, we had a lot of trouble actually winning the fight, even though the fight started out really well. And, like, our team just, like, doesn't do a lot of damage, honestly. Like, even if D.Va just changed to Roadhog, that would be a significant improvement, because, like, we just direly need more damage to actually win these fights. So we do a very good job of making Reinhardt sad in this particular fight by flashbanging him out of his charge twice, which makes him very sad, of course. That would also be a pretty good time to use Deadeye, because the enemy team is being distracted by the self-destruct as well. So you force them to decide, well, which one am I actually going to look at right now? And both of these ultimates can kill people. So that wouldn't be a terrible time either. We tried to kill the Reinhardt and actually ended up having to reload, which is very sad. We get caught in the Graviton, which is also very sad, and we just used Deadeye. We're running out of time at this point, so probably just decided it's either now or never, which is true enough, but I would have used it earlier during this fight. I would have probably used it as soon as we started the fight, just because to try and zone them off as we're starting to win the opening engagement, and then makes the rest of the fight very awkward for them. But like, realistically, like, I don't think you affect the outcome of this game, because I find that this game, actually, the team comp itself just has, like, a fundamental flaw that is very difficult to overcome. Unless you're gonna play, like, an absolute god and just pop everyone's heads. Like, a lot of these fights started out pretty well, right? Like, on paper, you see these fights start out, and like, wow, we start off with, like, a number advantage right away, and we've got, like, such clear tempo going in. And then we just lose anyway, because we just don't actually have anything to finish it. We didn't even really have any good ultimates to try and finish it, right? Because you think about it, like, the best ultimate on our team, other than Valkyrie, was Earthshatter, because, like, Deadeye's not great, Self-Destruct's not great, Sound Barrier doesn't really help us, the Emp is great, but, like, we have to actually be able to do something with the Emp. Then, like, became Widowmaker, so it's just like, and whereas they've got, like, the Tire, Molten Core, Teleporter, like, their ultimates across the board were better than ours, but Graviton as well is, like, way better than Self-Destruct. It's just like, it doesn't seem like it's possible from a compositional standpoint, unless someone's gonna play like an absolute fucking god, which is always the equalizer, that you can do that, but that's very hard to do in Overwatch. It's a very team-balanced game, so I don't see that round going any better, really. The biggest thing is just, like, some positioning stuff, really, and holding on to the ult, perhaps, too long. And then, like, you know, we missed the flashbang on the Symmetra, which was obviously terrible, but, like, I'm sure you don't need to be told that part. So, we've got, like, a very similar team comp to the one that they had. We're doing a lot of switching the orb around right now, which is not really doing very much of anything. You better just pick the one that's, like, needs it the most at the time and let it sit on them, rather than going, because then you just, like, heal, like, 10 HP to every person. Like, that's not super helpful, really. They were all lined up as well, which makes it awkward to actually put it on somebody, but it was a very awkward, like, not very efficient use of time right there. So, we killed their Pharah, which is great. However, she is alive again, and now she is bullying us around, and we do survive longer than we have any right to do. And our team is not good at dealing with Pharah. We're the best we've got on our team comp. So, either we kill her or we don't. And we die, basically, is kind of the position we were in. And basically, like, it's really awkward, but it ends up working out anyway, because basically Mercy built Valkyrie up, and they didn't execute the fight super well, so our team just barely gets to cling to life, even though that fight was, like, really bad for us. There's not much we could have done except, like, kill the Pharah again, basically. We did almost kill the Mercy at one point, which was sad we didn't quite kill her. Here comes Pharah again. Pharah is dead now, by Tracer of all fucking things, but oh, look, she's alive again. They also have a Genji, which is very awkward for us. Their team is very scary to us as a Zenyatta. This is a team comp that would be really good to play Moira against, but Moira wasn't in the game at this point in time, even, so, well, she would have been in the game, she wouldn't have been in competitive, so not much, this would be a good team to play her against, because Moira really fucks up a Genji, and she really fucks up Pharah as well. So, Reinhardt was way behind us right there, and we managed to avoid the Earth Shatter as a result. Kind of like looking around, like, where are they? And we're kind of expecting to be over here, and we, like, accidentally get away from that. Looks like Reinhardt did actually block it. So here's the big thing for the game. This was specifically mentioned in the email as being the biggest mistake seen, and basically said the field felt really pressured, like, do it now or team gets wiped. Unfortunately, the team ends up getting wiped after this happens, because their Genji right now is thinking, oh, Zenyatta's using Transcendence, and I haven't even used Dragon Blade yet, so I'm gonna wait for it to be over, and then I'm gonna have a great time. And that's gonna be exactly what happens. And, to no one's great surprise, that's where we lose the game. So, I see why the reflex was to use the ultimate. But here's the thing. The dude who was getting pinned is fucking dead. Like, he ain't surviving. 'Cause he got pinned. No one else is urgently in need of the health. So, this ends up not really doing very much. I'm sure you probably know this, but when the enemy team has a Genji on it, you do have to be really careful when you decide to use Transcendence, because if you use it for not Genji, this happens. And this is true of a couple other ultimates as well. Like, if they have a soldier and you use Transcendence for not the soldier, then suddenly he goes, oh, Zenyatta just used Transcendence and I didn't even use Tac Visor yet. And then the same thing basically happens. So, it wasn't a great use of the ultimate, because the guy who got pinned was fucking dead, regardless. And nobody else actually needed it at that moment in time. So, then Genji goes, oh yeah, great, now I get to just go in there and kill them. You have to be really careful if you ult, versus certain people. So, this game, very short, and not that much stood out, mostly on the McCree side, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think you do anything that much better in this game. Like, there's stuff that could have been better, yeah, like missing the flashbang on the Symmetra. Was it a perfect game? No. Even if you had a perfect game, it was still gonna be really fucking hard, just team comp-wise. I don't see, you personally affecting the outcome of this game, which is not really what anyone ever wants to hear. They always want to hear about how they could have won the game, but realistically, a lot of the games you don't actually get to decide the outcome of personally. It was like the 40-20-40 rule, where 40% of the games you're gonna win through no fault of your own, because the enemy team's gonna be bad, someone on your team's gonna do fantastic, they're gonna have a griefer, whatever. You're gonna lose 40% of your games for the exact same reasons, but flipped on you. And then the last 20% of the games that you actually get to affect the outcome of personally. There's also like 33, 33, 33, like there's variations on this, but no one ever really wants to hear it, but like a lot of games you don't get to personally affect the outcome of. It's just about trying to be consistent, so that when you come upon those games that the 20% you do actually get to affect, then you win those games more consistently anyway. You'll still won't win 100% of those either. So it's not what anyone wants to hear, but I don't see you personally affecting the outcome of this game, because it seems like the issue is just like a fundamental team comp issue. And most of the stuff that was in this game was like smaller stuff. Like the Transcendence was a big one, though honestly the way the fight was going at the same time, I feel like you probably would have ended up getting pressured into using Transcendence before Genji used Dragon Blade regardless. We'll never know, but like just the way it was going, feel like you would have probably ended up using it before Dragon Blade. And even if you used it during Dragon Blade, the fight was still going pretty badly by that point, so it might have not have even mattered even then. Unfortunately. So it was mostly smaller stuff in this game. This game was very short, so there's going to be less stuff to pull out of it. I would encourage to send in a longer, closer game at some point as well, because those, there tends to be more in a close win or a close loss, because there tend to be longer games, which has more going on. This game was very short. I would encourage sending in a longer game. So anyway, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.